In this video, we're gonna work on a really great pose. It's a very famous pose in yoga. It's Padmasana or lotus position. So as your hips start opening, it's a good idea to work on Padmasana. However, it's never a good idea to force this pose. So the flexibility of the hips come into play, flexibility of the ankles come into play. So it's fun to start playing with it and trying it, but really have an experienced teacher take a look at you so that they can tell you how and where you can push it and where you should not push it so that you don't get injured. So here are a few tips on how to work on that pose. So Padmasana requires a lot of opening in the groin here, opening in the hips. So you never want to make the knees pay for the lack of flexibility in the hips. So the way that works is you want to keep the knee joint closed. So if I have an open knee joint, I'm putting my knees at risk. If I have very open hips, I have a lot more flexibility in what I can do with my knees. I can leave, I can do poses where, although never recommended really, you can leave that knee in a 90-degree angle. But if you have tight hips, don't try that, because the knee will torque and will take up the slack of this joint, and the joint in the knee is not designed to take that kind of lateral side. I'm not a joint expert, but I'm not gonna make this joint do what this joint's supposed to do, because they're very different. So the way that I do that is I really close the knee so that there isn't any gap in between the hamstring and the calf. So once I do that, I can, without touching the toes, so this is very important for Padmasana, don't touch the toes, touch the ankle. So I can bring that foot here. So I have my heel and I have the top of my foot on the opposite groin. So if I can do this, then I can attempt to go into this pose even though I may not be fully flexible and able to do it yet. So zero pain in the knee. Okay, I bring one leg here. So maybe this is all that I do, and I repeat this, right? I can go up to here maybe. So I keep repeating that. Close that knee completely, and if there isn't any pain and I can make this movement, I can practice here. I can have one leg out and practice here. So if I have a leg out and I'm doing this Padmasana practice, so the secret here is to come out without moving this leg up and down the opposite leg, because then I'm opening that knee joint. So it's here and here, right? We're not sliding this foot down the leg. So this is a good way to get without using the toes. So use the ankle here. Come, and we can practice here. So close the knee completely. Make sure there's zero pain in the knee. So practice this for a few breaths, and then we can continue our Padmasana practice. Okay, so I grab a belt if you have one. It's very useful for working in this pose. Okay, so next step is I'm going to come into, so bring the toes, bring the top of the feet here on the thigh, and then we're gonna bring the other leg here. So here I am in a fairly tight Padmasana, but the ankles are able to tolerate this pose, and I am sitting in Padmasana. All right, so I want to bring these knees together. So I belt the top of the thigh there. Make sure that the belt are not in any part of the knee, especially the buckle. So bring those knees together as much as I can without hurting anything. So then again, there we go. So we have it look like this. Okay, so belted knees, feet are fairly comfortable there. And we have the first side of Padmasana. So I can work here, can come close to a wall, and again, I'm laying down in my Padmasana, and what I want to do is eventually lay flat, where I'm laying flat in Padmasana. So what starts happening, because of the tightness in the hips here, as I bring my legs back down towards the floor, my back starts arching. So it's kind of a cheating mechanism. If I really arch my back, I can bring my legs much further, but I am not increasing the length in the groin that I need. I'm cheating. So I keep the pelvis tucked here. Tuck meaning this is untucked and this is tucked. And I bring the leg down by lengthening the groin versus arching my back. So that's whenever you see the arch in the back, it may be a variation of the pose, right? If the person has that length but needs to arch the back for some reason. But if not, it's usually a cheating mechanism. So bring the legs to the wall here. You might want to put a little block behind this leg because it's a little higher. Or just touch one of the knees to the wall here. So the leg that's on the bottom. And tuck the pelvis. So here I'm arching, and then I just tuck the pelvis, and I feel really the tightness start coming up. So whenever you feel that tightness, it almost surfaces up to the skin. Breathe, make a fist with the tightness, and bring that tightness deep into the bone. So make a fist with the tightness, make it deep into the bone. So that's one way of working with it. So don't allow that tightness to come up to the skin, almost to surface and start expanding. Right, then we tell the mind to draw a boundary around that tightness. So mine is very much in that right hip, head of the femur, hip area. Draw a boundary there. You can pick whatever color imaginary Sharpie you want. And then breathe into that boundary. And instead of trying to just stretch it down, the thinking can be just breathe into it. See if you can release the tightness. So start releasing the lower back, start releasing the head of the femur, and see if with that release you can, we never think of bringing the knees down, we think of bringing the knees out. So really extending. So if someone were to put their hand here, you would push the hand away. So you're adding that length, a little space in the hip, and then you moved back a little bit as you're able to release more, and keep tucking. And then maybe you go back another inch, go back towards the wall, and then release more, release, and tuck here. So make sure you're not creating an arch there. So tuck, bringing these hip bones down to the floor, and the pubic symphysis here up. So tucking the pelvis, lifting the chest. So we're not, so we're lifting the chest, breathing, keeping the softness in the eye, the ear, and the throat, and bringing softness and releasing, and breathing and energy into that tightness in the hip. Making sure that the sacrum is always wide, so you have this movement of widening the sacrum. So bringing the hip bones into one another, this round widening of the back of the body, the sacrum. So after a few deep breaths here, come up, and you can remove the belt, and then safely come out. So make sure you're breathing while coming out and not holding your breath. So take a breath, inhale, exhale, and slowly come out. And then you can work on your downward dog to release and do the second side. I hope this video helps, and I hope it really helps you work on a Padmasana and really open the hips and release the groins so that you can improve in this pose. Leave any comments that you might want in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.